Alright boys, welcome back to another video. Knicks Daily here. Today we're talking about Josh Hart. We spent a lot of time talking about Brunson and the officiating so far in the series. It's only been one game, of course, but overall Hart deserves as much credit as anyone else in this playoffs, not just on the Knicks but in the entire NBA. Hart, he truly has put the Knicks on his back this season. He played more minutes than any other player in the second half. Of course, he's gone out there and found his three ball. Hart in the regular season was 31% from three, and in the postseason so far he's at 44.7. You round up, that's 45. I mean, that's a 14 percentage increase from three. Now Hart has not shot the free throw well. He missed a key free throw in game 5. If Hart had made that free throw, the Knicks would have closed that series out in 5, but he didn't make it. But he made up for it in game 6 with a dagger three-pointer. Not really a dagger, but more so a game-winning shot. Hart as well, you look at the field, 45% versus 43. Rebounding 12.4. I mean, he's 6'4". He has the most offensive rebounds in the entire playoffs as a guard. I mean, that's just ridiculous. He's blocking a shot a night, 5 assists, a steal. He has kept the fouls down, 3.1. Turnovers are up, but it makes sense because Hart has handled the basketball a lot more than he did in the regular season. He loves to push it up the court and try to get an easy transition bucket. But the biggest thing is actually the points. 18 a night from Josh Hart. If you were to tell me that Josh Hart would be giving us 18 a night in the playoffs, I would have been so happy, and I am so happy because I just didn't think that was going to be even possible. But Hart, man, it's funny because his last name is Hart, but it's not spelt like the other Hart. But Hart plays with a lot of heart. He is the definition of a New York Knick. Goes out there, plays like the 90s, any era Hart would excel in. But he just is out physicaling every single player, getting and ones, rebounding over centers, making it extremely difficult for teams to be able to keep up with his energy. And it's just amazing how the Knicks were able to get him for so cheap. The Knicks traded a first-round pick to get Hart last season at the deadline. They did technically give up Cam Reddish as well, but he wasn't even a part of the rotation. For the Knicks to get a key playoff piece for them and potentially a championship run for just a first-round pick, what a great trade by Scott Perry. Not to mention trading IQ and RJ for OG. You get rid of RJ, who, man, I hate to say this because I wish RJ the best, but he wasn't a bust, but he just wasn't the player that I thought he had the potential to be. Emmanuel Quickley was a fantastic six-man, but, I mean, would you guys rather have RJ and IQ or OG Anunoby, who brings you that elite-level defense? He has hit a bunch of mid-ranges for us, some key threes, but his defense is the main thing. The Knicks' offense isn't an issue. The Knicks have always had an issue defensively this season, and the last 3-4 minutes of this game, the reason why the Knicks won was, sure, Dante and Brunson hit a couple of threes, and they knocked down their free throws, but it's because of the defense. OG set the tone as he has since he's arrived as a Knick. The Knicks have not lost 2 games in a row since trading for OG. They're 25-4. 25-4, think about that for a second. It's just unreal to even process that. But outside of Hart, of course, Dante DiVincenzo was a free agent pickup. Our bench to start the season had Miles McBride, Dante, Hart, and Hartenstein on it. I mean, I'm not saying that that's a playoff level starting lineup, but I mean, that's a really good starting lineup in the NBA. Of course, there isn't a superstar there, so it's not like it would end up winning a championship, but I mean, that's a 4 right there that could definitely beat a lot of teams, if we're being honest. And the Knicks have those guys now starting. You know, Hart, Devo, and Hartenstein are all in the starting lineup just because they played so well, and injuries as well. You know, if Julius Randle was out there, Hart wouldn't be starting. But it's just, you can't stress enough of how good these players around Brunson have been, because we've spent the majority of the time on this channel talking about Brunson, which makes sense because he's played like an MVP and he's the best player on this roster. But it's way more than that. Dante DiVincenzo, he hasn't shot the ball the best in the playoffs. I mean, coming into this game, he was at 35 from 3, but because he shot it so well, he's up to 40. But of course, he had a huge game 6. He had a huge game 1, knocked down the 3 that gave the Knicks the lead. If he misses that, who knows how this game goes. And then you've got other additions as well. Bojan's hurt. Of course, Randall's out for the season, but you've got a guy like an Isaiah Hartenstein who continues to give you good work. In the postseason, he's averaging 11 points, 6.4 rebounds, 2.9 assists, which is really good for a center, 1.1 block. The fouls have been kind of an issue, but when you're matched up against Joel Embiid, I mean, it's only expected. The guy gets to the free throw line a ton. 84 from the free throw line, 50 from 3. I mean, he's only taken 2 threes. 59 from the field, 27.7 minutes. And then now Precious Achiuwa, Mitchell Robinson, and the Knicks are just playing a matchup game to this point. But I have been impressed with overall the productivity from the Knicks outside of Brunson. The bench was bad in game 1 against the Pacers. Hopefully that can get cleaned up. I mean, you compare our bench to the Pacers. McBride, he ended up playing, 11 minutes and was a -13. Mitch played 12 minutes, was a -8. Achiuwa, 4 minutes, -6. So the Knicks need to clean that up. But I do expect the Knicks starters to continue to play a ton of minutes. Devo 44, Hart 48, Brunson 44, OG 42. Hartenstein played 36 minutes. That's just how it's going to be. I know there's a lot of Knicks fans that I've talked to within the past couple of days saying that this isn't sustainable, but the only way the Knicks are going to win the championship is if they work their starters, because Miles McBride, Mitchell Robinson, they're good players, but McBride's not as good as Devo. Robinson, he's not as good as Hartenstein, at least since the injury. Before the injury, yeah, I mean, Mitchell Robinson looked like he was going to have a career year. He was having a career year, and then Achiuwa, it just depends what Achiuwa you get. I mean, he completely clamped up Embiid, which was awesome, but then there's nights where he just isn't playable. So, I mean, Coach Tibb, this guy is one of the better coaches in the league. He's won 2 Coach of the Year awards. I think he should have won it this year. The Knicks won 50 games despite all the injuries, the 2nd seed in the East. But, I mean, it's just a popularity contest. I mean, the Thunder, okay, whatever. You know, Mark Dagnott is going to win Coach of the Year because OKC was the 1 seed in a loaded West. But Chet, Shea, Jalen Williams, Giddey, there's some Wallace. There's a bunch of good players. Dort on the Thunder. Not to say that there isn't on the Knicks, but you know, if the Knicks had a healthy Randall, OG, like if the Knicks had just stayed healthy, even with just OG and Randall from January on, they would not probably have been the 1 seed, but I think they would have been the best team in the NBA, and I think everyone would pretty much respect that. I mean, the Knicks were blowing out contenders when they were healthy. Remember, they had a 44-point win against the Nuggets. I know it wasn't in the playoffs. Like, the Timberwolves are crushing the Nuggets right now. The Timberwolves I'm concerned with, man. I think the one team I'm scared of is the Timberwolves. And it's not just necessarily because they're beating the Nuggets. It's because their defense. I don't know how well the Knicks are going to be able to score on the Timberwolves. But that's like the one team. Like, Boston, yeah, they're an amazing roster. But Boston's a team that I want. I mean, I want Boston, especially after the last time we beat them and their head coach called us desperate. Tatum, Brown. I mean, it's Boston. They're a rival. I'd want nothing more than to go out there and to beat the Boston Celtics and head to the finals. I mean, that would just be so cool. But right now, all that matters is Game 2 tomorrow night, Wednesday, against the Pacers. I'm looking forward to it. This video was a Josh Hart appreciation. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts on the Knicks so far in the playoffs. Man, you feeling good? I mean, I don't think anyone's really feeling bad to have a 1-0 lead in the second round. But, of course, there is some things that need to be fixed. The Knicks need to not rebound the ball better because they did win the rebounding battle, but they can't turn it over because it leads to too many transition points.